Hi, Algebra 1 students. A couple things you're going to enjoy about today's lesson is the fact there's no graphing. Hopefully it goes a little clearer than I messed up yesterday a little bit, but I think you guys will enjoy this. Actually, the hardest part of this lesson you've already done in last chapter, and that's factoring. 9.4 is factoring to solve quadratic equations. Like I said, the toughest part of this whole section you've already done. For any real numbers, a and b, if a times b equals 0, then a or b has to equal 0. We know that would have to be true. For example, x plus 3 and x plus 2 equals 0. Then x plus 3 equals 0 and x plus 2 equals 0. Okay? So, based off that, that's kind of where we're going with this. And we're going to actually, that example is exactly what we're going to be kind of doing here in this first set. Okay? So, you have x plus 1 and x plus, or minus 5 equals 0. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to break this apart because one of these has to equal 0. So x plus 1 has to equal 0, or also x minus 5 has to equal 0. One of those has to equal 0 to get it so that we can have one of these equal 0, and then when we multiply we know we're going to get 0. Okay? For this one to equal 0, well, let's solve what x would have to be for. In this case, minus 1. X can equal negative 1. Okay, that's one of our answers. And x can also, if you add 5 to both of this, x can also equal 5. So, your solutions, x can equal negative 1 and 5. That is all you do today. If you want to do the other two on your own, go for it. I'm going to do them. Like I said, if you stop and you want to do it yourself, you can hit stop and then you can go through and see what I do. Okay? On this one, you have 2y plus 1, parenthesis y plus 1, or 14 equals 0. Each one of these has to be set equal to 0 again. Has to be. And honestly, this is probably a little easier than even yesterday's lesson. So, now, we got to solve for y. Minus 1, you're going to get 2y equals negative 1. Then you divide by 2. Oh, and you can't see it. Okay. Y equals negative 1/2. Okay, that's one side of this. This side's a little easier. Minus 14 to both sides. Y equals negative 14. So, your solutions in this one are going to be y has to equal negative 1/2 or 14. That has to be your solutions. Okay? Now, we can do the very last one real quick. Once again, if you want to try it on your own, go for it. You got 7n minus 2. That's going to equal 0, and you're going to have 5n minus 4 equals 0. Okay? So, plus 2 to both sides. You're going to get 7n equals 2. Divide by 7, n equals 2 over 7. Okay? Now, on this other one, you have 5n minus 4 equals 0, plus 4, you get 5n equals 4. Divide by 5, n has to equal 4 over 5. So, solutions to this one are going to be n equals 2 over 7 and 4 over 5. Now, obviously this is easy because they've already factored for you, making life really, really easy. But Going back to last chapter, we can do these problems over here. You're going to have m to the second minus 5m minus 14, okay, equals 0. Now let's factor this side. You got m and you got m. You probably got a plus minus here. I'm going to go with minus 7 plus 2. The reason that I went that way is this sign right here is negative. So I'm going to have a negative positive. This sign is negative. I'm probably going to have the bigger one. The bigger one's going to go with my negative because this is negative. So that was easy enough. Maybe you don't quite understand, but hopefully last chapter made enough sense to do one like this. And if you have questions, obviously you can get a hold of me. Okay, plus 7 to both sides. So m has to equal 7, or minus 2, m has to equal negative 2. So solutions for this one is going to be m equals 7 or negative 2. Simple as that. You have p to the second plus p minus 20. Once again, this is one that I think isn't too bad because I have p and p. Okay? We got a minus and we got a plus, so we got a plus minus probably because we got a negative here, which once again makes life a little easier. We have a positive here. I'm thinking of factors of 20. I'm going to go with 4 and 5 just because of the fact this is 1, so I want to keep my numbers really, really close. And in this case, I'm going to go with the bigger one to the front because of the fact that this is positive right here. Okay, this equals 0. So you have p plus 5 equals 0. And you have p minus 4 equals 0. Minus 5, p equals negative 5. Or also plus 4 to both sides, p equals 4. Solutions. P is going to equal negative 5 or 4. There is your solutions. Okay. We have this last one. How don't I do it? Like I said, don't be afraid to try this on your own and then see what I do. That is probably the best way to do it. Okay. So, you got this one equals 0. Factors of 2 are going to be 2a and 1a. If you want to put the 1 there, you can. Okay. We're looking for negative 15. You're going to have either both negatives or both positives. In this case, you got a positive here. So, and this is negative, so I'm going to go negative, negative. Okay. One thing that's going through my head is my factors. You got 1 and 18, 2 and 9, or 2 and 9, which that's getting a little closer. The reason I'm going to throw that 18 away is because if I use the 18 and both these signs are the same, I'm going to be adding two things together, and that's just going to be too big. 9 maybe works, depending on how you want to work, but I'm going to try 6, and I'm going to put 6 here because 6 times 2 is 12, and then 3 times 1 is 3, and if I add those together and my signs are the same, it's probably going to get me exactly what I want. Okay? Now, both of these are set equal to 0, and I'm going to leave this as just a minus 6 equals 0. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, now plus 3 to both sides, plus 3. 2a equals 3, plus 6, you're going to get a equals 6, and over here you still got to divide by 2, so you're going to get a equals 3 over 2. So, solutions to this one are a equals 3 over 2 and 6. There is my solutions. Okay, now, writing it in standard form. Okay, and I'm guessing I doubled up on an x here, my bad. What are the solutions? Okay, now, this is written. Oh, we got to write it into standard form before we can even start. This really isn't any harder, but they just made it a touch harder. So we have x to the second minus 21x. And let me double check to make sure that I did actually just make a mistake. Yes, I did. Okay. I should have known. Okay, so you're going to have to minus this over because we got to get in standard form before we can solve. Minus 21x. So we'd have to subtract that, so it'd be minus 18 equals 0. So now we're back into that form. Now, this one is not quite as nice. Basically, you're going to probably have to play around with it a little bit to possibly figure out what you're going to have in this situation. But it's bearable, trust me. Okay, so right now you have that. Now we got to figure out some factors for that, and maybe we don't get it right away. So let's try 4x and x. Usually not exactly my first way of wanting to try it, but hey, what are we at? Okay, now we know we're gonna have to have a plus and a minus, but it gets a little more tricky here because of the fact we have that 21 in there. Okay, so just thinking of some factors here that might work. 18, you got 6 and 3. I'm gonna try 6 and 3 here, and this isn't really fair for you to me on this aspect because some of you guys might be able to get onto this easy, some of you might not be able to. If I did inside outside, I'm going to end up getting negative 24, and obviously I messed up on my signs here, but I'm going to put a plus here. Okay, so I'm going to get negative 24, and then I'm going to get plus 3x, which then is going to get me negative 21x. You can do that step out if you need to, but I know I am correct. So now I factored it. Now I set each one equal to 0, just like we did before. Equals 0. And I'm going to write this down just in case for the colony kids, if they don't have the ability to use internet or that, or any of you guys do not, I will have copies of these so you guys can get them if so need be. Which is then that form. Okay, now we got these set equal to 0. Some of you guys are probably way ahead of me now. This one, I got a minus 3. You're going to have 4x equals negative 3. Then you're going to divide by 4. You're going to get x equals negative 3 over 4. Now, this other side, you plus 6, x equals 6. So, solutions, x equals negative 3/4 or 6. Easy enough, right? Okay, we got x to the second plus 14x, and honestly, I kind of like this problem better, and honestly, if we were in class, this would be a good one for you guys to do second after following me. So if you want to give this one a shot, go for it. It's a little easier than the one we just did. First off, you're going to have to minus or add this over. So you're going to end up getting 14x to the second plus 49 equals 0. Okay, factoring this, x and x, and then you got a plus and a plus. So I'm going to go with plus plus. It just happens this is a special situation where it's going to be a perfect square, or it's 7 and 7, and that would work out because I'd end up with 7x plus 7x, which gives me 14x. That's why I said this is probably one you could do on your own. You get x minus, or x, we want a minus 7 from both of these. That would be if they're set equal to 0. So you're going to get x equals negative 7, and x equals negative 7. So, realistically, the only solution for this is x equals negative 7. So probably what's happening there is you got a vertice right on that, or else your parabola turns sideways, which I keep bringing that up, but I don't want you guys to worry about it right now. Let's put it that way. I'm letting you know there's other options in the world. I don't want you to be like, well, Mr. Riedel said. Anyway, got a word problem left. And we're getting there. You are constructing a frame for a regular photo shown. You want the frame to be the same width all the way around, and the same total area of the frame of the photo is what should be the dimensions of your frame. Okay, so the frame is always going to stay the same. So if it's 1 inch thick, it's going to be 1 inch thick. So really, to find the area for like these side lines, so you got to take length times width to find the area, right? And our area just happens to equal 315. Don't know if that's positive or a good deal or not, but let's look at our width, our length. Isn't our length going to be x plus 17 plus another one? So we actually got 2x there, all right? Because you got x, the total distance from here to here is going to be 2x plus 17, okay? Length from here to here is going to be 2x plus 11. Now, you guys are all like, well, this isn't so bad right now, maybe. Or maybe you guys are like, well, I got this number on the back. That don't make a lot of sense, Mr. Riedel. What are you doing here? Yeah, that throws a little bit of curveball in it, but we'll be fine here. Now, we have to multiply out that front, is all that's doing. So we end up multiplying that, and you're going to get 4x to the second plus 34x, and I know I'm doing the inside wrong. I should do outside, but I did inside first, plus 22x plus 17 times 11. You might have to hit that one into your calculator, as do I, and you're going to get 187. So equals 315. Well, we have to add that 315 over. Now, this is probably the hardest problem that we've had to work with so far. Oh, I forgot to combine this. You get 56x. Just because of the fact that we are combining all this, and we're going to get some pretty big numbers. Right now, fingers crossed that it is going to be something very, very easy, or something that just makes life a little easier. Okay. When we subtract those, we end up getting negative 128. 128. Now, going back to what we know, we have to see if we can take anything out. In this case, we can take that 4 out. So we're going to end up with x to the second. 4 goes in there once, about 14 times, I'd say. And yeah, of course, this might not be as easy for you. But you guys got to look for things like that and just try, obviously 2. Well, if 2 came out of it and still even, you should probably pull another 2 out of this, just to be quite honest on that. Then equals 0. Okay, now what we can do really here is divide this by 4 and divide this by 4. Because of the fact that we know to simplify down, we're going to end up getting something like this. And I know this isn't something we did last time, but we weren't actually having equals 0 at that point. Okay, now it's pretty easy maybe. X and X, you got a negative here, so you're probably going to have a plus and a minus. Factors of 32, if I do 32 and 1, that's probably going to leave me a pretty good gap there that isn't going to give me 14. 2 and 16, I think that's my route. I'm going to put the 16 because I want to keep it positive. right here, because I want to keep this positive, and I'm going to put the 2 here. If I do this, or if I recoil this out, it's going to work. Okay? So you get x plus 16 equals 0, and you get x minus 2 equals 0. So x equals 2, because if you add 2 to both sides, and you're going to get x equals negative 16. And sorry I skipped that step. I think you guys are probably starting to see that one. Maybe you're not, but hopefully you can figure that out. And also I was running out of room, so I was trying to save myself. I guess I'm still going to write to the side anyway. Your solutions are going to be negative 16 and 2. That's what your x equals those. I guess I shouldn't have put those in here because then it looked like an ordered pair, but you get it. So that's all that lesson is. Like I said, you've done the toughest part in last chapter. If you've got questions, once again, don't be afraid to reach out. Always looking forward to see what your thoughts are. Also, don't be afraid to even reach out on the one you're going to do flip grid on. If you really need it, we can get you in the right direction. But have a good day. Almost the end of the week. Also, tomorrow is going to be a quiz. This would be Thursday for you guys. So what I'm thinking on that is it's going to be open book for everyone. I'm probably going to email it out. It's going to be on Google Classroom, but I will email it out. If you don't have a printer, basically you can write it on a notebook, piece of paper. I would like it done in 3 hours from when class opens, which means at about this time on, I might even do it a touch early if you're really looking for something to do. I might open it a little early, but about the time that your class period would start on Thursday, I will be sending it out. It will be on Google Classroom as a test format. The only thing is, once again, Google is not very good for math because of the formulas. So it's up to you, but you can do either or. Just get it sent to me, email, or take it into Google Classroom. I do not care. I just want it done in about 3 hours from when I let you guys, or when it's opened up. So that's about all I got to say about that. Anyway, thank you.